This is my favorite lens. It's not my best lens, but it is my favorite. I will tell you why. This is the Tamron 28-200 f2.8 to 5.6, and this is the lens I have used the most since I bought it 8 months ago. I bought this for travel because I knew I was going to walk around in a city from 9 a.m. to midnight for several days, so I wanted a light, compact setup that still provided good quality. And if I have a light setup, if I have a compact setup, if I have good quality, I will take my camera out more. And if I take my camera out more, I will take more pictures. And if I take more pictures, I will have more keepers. And that's where this lens comes in. A disclaimer, this is not going to be a review. It's not going to be any pixel peeping. I just want to tell you my thoughts about the lens. And maybe that could be a tip for you if you're out to get a super zoom. Well, this is a super zoom. It's 28-200 millimeters, which has some compromises, but the compromises are very limited. There's not much negative to say about this lens, but I will come to those things in a little bit. I've taken some of my favorite pictures from 2023 with this lens, like this sunset view from the Powder Tower in Prague, or this night shot of the Wawel Castle in Krakow. And as always, I bought this lens. Tamron doesn't know I exist. How does it look? Well, it's 11.7 centimeters tall, which is about 4.5 inches. It weighs only 576 grams or 1.2 pounds-ish, which is ridiculously low when you compare it to the focal range you get. It has a 67 millimeter filter thread, of course a lens hood, we have a focus ring, we have a zoom ring, and when you zoom, the lens will get taller. But that's not a problem on this lens because it's so lightweight, so the balance, if you have it on a tripod, for example, doesn't change so much. We also have a lock switch on the zoom ring, so if we lock it, you can't zoom out. Good for traveling, for example. And it's also weather sealed. It doesn't have any image stabilization. But if you have IBIS on your camera, like I have on my Sony a7 IV, that's not a problem. Quality-wise then, well, the autofocus is splendid. It's fast, it's reliable, as fast and reliable as my Sony lens is. The contrast, the colors, I have no issue with at all. The sharpness is as good as my other lenses, including primes, except at the extremes of the focal range, like 28 millimeters to 34, 180 to 200, you can see that the edges of the frame is a little bit softer. It's just a tiny little bit, and you have to pixel peep a lot to see it, but something to bear in mind. But it shouldn't be a problem, right? Probably you won't put your subject at the edge of the frame anyway. For me, because I'm sort of micro-lazy, I want things to be convenient. If they are convenient, if they are easy, I will use them more. And therefore this lens, and especially together with my other travel companion, the Tamron 17-28, I have a convenient, easy, compact, lightweight setup for traveling, or otherwise as well. If I just want to go out and bring my camera, I will bring this lens. If I have a mission to shoot something, I will bring something else, maybe my Tamron 35-150 f2.8, just because it's faster. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the aperture. Because it is a super zoom, it comes with compromises, and the compromises in this case is that it is a variable aperture. It starts at 2.8, which is very, very fast, wide aperture for being a super zoom. But it goes up to 5.6 at 200 millimeters. And of course, all the numbers in between, like at 85, we are at about 4.5, f4.5, I think. Can you then shoot in low light? Yeah, you can, but not if you also want a fast shutter speed, then you need a faster lens. But that's not what this lens is meant for. But can you blur out the background, get bokeh, get that smooth background behind your subject? Yes, yes you can. At 28 millimeters, we have an aperture of f2.8, which is wide enough to blur out the background as long as the background is a bit away from your subject. But that has to do more with the focal range, focal length, not the aperture. I would say that from 35 to 85, it's harder to blur out the background with this type of lens because the aperture isn't fast enough. But if you zoom in more, you get compression from the lens and then you can blur out the background, no problem. Let me show you. Let's see if I can explain this. My brother's kids have made this pumpkin for Halloween that was a couple of weeks ago, but it's still here, so I'm gonna try and take a couple of pictures of it. I'm gonna do as wide open as I can. First on 28 millimeters and stand close. And then I will back up and take another picture, but zoomed in with my lens and see if the background blurs out more or not. 28 mm f2.8, standing rather close, and like that. 200 millimeters and f5.6, and click. My conclusion for this lens is that if you want a Swiss Army knife of a lens, this is the one. I also think it's priced right. Now I think it's about $900, 900 euros, but you can check it out on your local photo store or local internet store, or maybe not so local internet store. I will end with a few more pictures taken with this lens this last summer, and you can judge for yourself if the lens does a good job or not. Thanks for watching.